this movie talks about the citizen right to privacy, but also on the other hand, the people's right to know about, be informed about their leaders in some way. And
I can't imagine how that would be relevant in Italy.
Oh, no, it's not going to happen. Actually, it didn't happen for the last 25 years. So, no, it's too difficult in Italy right now.
Yeah.
Media really changes everything. But what I really like about this movie is the distance you kept between these two different and opposite issues. It's a very not judgmental movie, and it asks questions and it doesn't give answers in some way. How did you work in order to find this balance?
I'm really appreciative that you noticed that. That's exactly the kind of film we wanted to make. Those are the kinds of movies that I love. Those are the kinds of films that came out of the 1970s when films really pushed the audiences to make decisions for themselves. So we wanted to make a movie with a dozen points of view when we're following a variety of journalists. We're following a variety of campaign people, the Hart family members themselves, all surrounding this one person at the center, Gary Hart, who was an enigma of a human being, someone who was so smart, who had such big ideas, but also was a flawed person who made mistakes. And we wanted to pose these questions to the audience of, what do you think is relevant? What do you want to know about your politicians? Where is that line? When do we cross it? And try to pose these questions with as much empathy as possible for the people running for politics, the people covering the politics, the journalists who are, cognizant of what their readers and viewers want to know and are also getting pressure from their own editors. So I suppose it's simply a humanist approach.
Basically, as you just said, even if it's set in the past, this movie really addresses a lot of issues about nowadays influence of media in politics and vice versa. In some way, what would you like the audience will take away watching The Front Runner?
I mean, I think any audience member for The Front Runner is going to think someone different. What I hope is that there's real conversation that comes out of the film. What I hope is that people are arguing on the way home. Because if we're going to elect human beings, which we are, they're going to make mistakes. And so we have to constantly be asking ourselves, what flaws do we want in our leaders? Our current president is a deeply flawed person. And I think this is something that's on people's minds right now. How the hell did we get here? So I guess as a filmmaker, I'm trying to present 1987 as a prism through which we can talk about 2018.
I was wondering also about the screenplay. Is there any big difference between the book and the screenplay? Maybe some character or some story became maybe a little more fictional than they were in the book?
Well, I mean, the book, is nonfiction, and this is a movie. It has to function like a movie. It's kind of a thriller. There are characters in the film that are amalgamations. There's a character named A.J. Parker who's an amalgamation of Paul Taylor and E.J. Dionne. So at the end of the day, we are making a movie and have to present it as a narrative. And the trick to then becomes, how do we feather in as much information as possible? And what we, the idea that we came up with was to present multiple conversations happening simultaneously so that the audience is going through this experience in real time of having to sift through and try to figure out what is the important information and what is the unimportant information.